Hello awesome people, I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the next book in the ACE Gamebook series by Jonathan Green. It's called Ronin 47. It's fun stuff. Unlike a lot of these smaller works, this is not you playing a few different characters like Alice's Wonderland. Like just kind of similar to Alice's Nightmare on Wonderland, where it's just Alice, rather than, you know, Oz or Netherland, where you're playing a bunch of different characters. For you folks, this is set in the future in a post-apocalyptic era where there are mechs versus a kaiju. So it's kind of like a real life Pacific Rim and gamebook form or battle tech and other stuff like that. So that's kind of happening. It's set in Japan and in the Pacific. So this is Ronin 47 for you folks. So basically this is a much more complex version of this gamebook series because combat's a lot more complex. Combat in here is much more complex, more similar to the combat in the system like the ones where you are like the Destiny Quest ones, where your combat oftentimes might take 15 or 20 minutes, or I mean sometimes even half an hour for you to resolve. And that also happens here with your mech. You're also outside of your mech too. Typical stuff for your outside the mech things, you can choose 10 points. You start with 6 in agility and combat, and 20 in endurance. And you can't spend more than 5 in each of those categories. And again, I did 11 combat skill, 9 agility, and 22 endurance. That's my normal starting. I think your mechs are a lot different because it's a lot slower, a lot more tedious. Basically, what you have are different things that you can't invest all of them, but you have a maximum of 6 to. For example, ballistics and melee. So you can have your artillery with a gun, or you can fight with a sword. But you can't maximize those scores. So you can have up to 6. So I did 3 and 3 in each of those. You can have up to 3 armor and 3 speed, or 5 speed and 1 armor, such. But armor and speed are also similar ones. And I did 3 and 3 on that one too. I figured I would try it out and such. So it's definitely rougher. Also, combat takes a while too. For example, in mech combat, you have to roll to figure out what your distance is, and then you will toss a die 6, add a number, and then you will remove the speed of you and your enemy to find out what the range is, if you're at range, if you're not at melee, then you will have a ranged combat, and then you move one closer, and then one closer until you're in melee range. So then you'll win the melee dials for each of you. So you know, there are definitely a lot of people out there that are melee specialists that are fast, so they can get to melee fast. And then there are slower artillery specialists also that you'll run into too, that are slower because they stay at speed, right? So that was kind of fun. But I did a generalist too. So combat was a lot slower for folks. I started out with a 9 out of 10 for the first day and an hour into the second day of reading. But then I came across a puzzle that I couldn't solve, and I tried to rack my brain around and I couldn't figure it out. So I posted online. There were no walkthroughs like there were for Alice for the Hedge Maze and stuff like that. So I just posted on that website, and I waited for a while. A few days passed, and I was reading short stories and other things and such. And then I got back from my surgery and saw 3 or 4 days later that it had been resolved. I figured it out. It is, I think, solvable. Once you know the solution, I think it says, oh yeah, it's solvable, but I figured it out. And then I kept moving on and so forth, but that dropped it to a 7 because this was not a, you know, sometimes when there's puzzles in games, you know, it's either like a security, like it'll give you secret armor or a weapon or something like that, or it'll bypass a key fight, something like that, or just give you money. For example, in Lone Wolf, there are puzzles where you bet counts, and if you win, then you win an object, or you just win more gold. Right, you're not actually, you're not having something that will impact your ability to win the game, right? And this was a game-winning scenario. I also played the other side, and it still wound up in the same place. So it was a game ender. But then I got back to the game, finished, and then there's another puzzle later on. I was able to figure this one out, which is also a game ender if you can't figure it out. So it went from, so it knocked down to a 7, then it finished back at a rough 8. But your mileage may vary. If you decide to buy this and have questions about those 2 puzzles, I'd be happy to answer them. and give you answers or clues or hints or whatever. That sort of thing. I'm happy to do that for you folks. And then, so this is now my favorite game book in the ACE Gamebook series. It replaces Beowulf. Beastler. It was a 7.5 out of 10. This is an 8 out of 10 for folks. But I definitely enjoyed it a lot. This is just by Jonathan Green for you folks. Have you read it? If so, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you like this one, hit the subscribe button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, and then also hit the like button and let your friends know too. As a reminder, this channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books. That's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept you from reading the old ones, right? And this is definitely a newer thing, right? But a lot of people might not be into game books, so I like, going back and knocking these out from this Kickstarter in a recent series in the ACE Gamebook series for you folks. And so finally, I just want to pause just to thank you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my video, because we all have been pulled in so many different directions, right? And so many different things are happening in our lives. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.